Honorable members of parliament who are here, I have senators in the house, I also have members of staff, I also have the county assembly of Muranga, where I'm born and bred. Good afternoon. Good afternoon again. I would request the members of parliament who are outside. Honorable Justice Mazayo has just walked in. We get the others to walk in. My name is Martha Wangari. I am the MP for a constituency known as Gilgil constituency in Nakuru County. I am serving a third term in parliament, and I'm honored to be the leader of this delegation. It is a very diverse delegation across parties, across the houses, in the bicameral parliament. And more importantly, I want to remind even the MC that we are a reflection of you guys who vote. So please, don't feel like we are, all we do in parliament is fight. We do much more, which is better there. I would ask the members to come here. I want to do a general introduction first, so that we go to the team. I'll start with the members of the National Assembly. Please, can we have one more microphone? I'll do general introductions, then I will call the team. Yeah, just one microphone there. I'll start here with Honorable Sunkuli, one of our ranking members. You'll do quick self-introduction. It's okay, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Here.
Good afternoon. I think this is supposed to be a rungu. My name is Julius Sunkuli, Julius Ole Sunkuli. I'm the member of parliament for Kilgoris, which is in Narok, and I was asking for permission to tell you that I was elected in the party called KANU, which you know is the only party actually. And I have come as a member of the committee of parliament called the Delegated Legislation Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 3 committees that are represented here. I serve in the Defense, Intelligence and the Foreign Relations Committee. We have Diaspora and Immigrant Workers Committee. We also have Delegated Legislation Committee that deals with all the regulations that come from executive must pass through this committee of delegated legislation.
Hi everyone. I am Millie Odhiambo Mabona, Member of Parliament. Thank you. I'm Millie Odhiambo Mabona, Member of Parliament, Suba North, serving my 4th term, and here with the Committee of Defense, Intelligence, and what again? And Foreign Relations. I keep telling people my committee is a mouthful, but that's the committee that I've come here with today. Happy to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Memusi Kanchori, Member of Parliament, Kajiado Central, Vada or somewhere. Maybe the name precedes the honor. Yeah, so I'm also in the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee, a ranking member, serving my 3rd term, and in the same committee. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
My name is Joseph Gidugu Kamau. I'm the Senator of the Great County of Lamu. I am here with my minority leader, who is the head of delegation from the Senate. I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you very much.
My name is Justice Retired Stuart Mazayo. I'm the Senator for Kilifi County and the leader of minority.
Senator Mazao is also a ranking member. We served with him in the Senate 2013-2017, and he's also a retired judge of the High Court. Yes. Now we go to another justice who is not a justice.
Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Justice Kemei. I am the Member of Parliament for Sigowet-Soin constituency in Kericho County, and a member of the Committee on Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers. I've always said to say my name is Justice. When I was born, my mother decided to call me Justice. But I never trained in the field of Justice Matsayo. By training and practice, I'm a journalist. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you.
Jambo. Captain Roida Mohammed, MP Lamu East, member of Diaspora Committee. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Geshimo Gedenji, member of Parliament, Geshogo constituency in a county called Kirinyaga. I'm a member of the Committee on Delegate and Registration in the National Assembly. Thank you.
Habari zenu. My name is Honorable Rashid Juma Bezimba, MP Kisauni constituency, Mombasa County, member of Diaspora Committee. Vizuri kuonana nanyi.
Thank you, honorable members. Apology from Honorable Jalas of Langata. He's walked out. We'll do this very quickly because I see we're a big number. Oh, Honorable Kwenya is also left. Yeah, member for Kinangop. Yes, so we'll do this very quickly. I know you have many questions, but we are here mostly to bring the synergy and the connection between the diaspora and ourselves who are the policy makers at that level. The reason we have very diverse representation is that matters diaspora, matters trade, matters what Kenya can benefit, interest all of us. Whether you're from the coast area, whether you're from the opposition, whether you're from government, we all have one interest, that is Kenya. So we will be willing not only to answer questions, but also learn from you, because nobody is an expert of everything. Even us will be able to learn one or two things that we can be able to improve on. So I want to call the first team to sit up there. We'll have two teams of 6 at a time. And we'll start from the Senate. We'll have Senator Mazayo take the seat. We'll have Honorable Memusi take the seat. We'll have Honorable Mili take the seat. We will have Honorable Justice take the seat. And we'll have, how many seats are those? Yes, hold on. How many are those? That's the first team. Okay. And as we get ready, kindly give me the Speaker of Murang'a County here and the Leader of Majority from Murang'a. I clap for them as they come for introduction. I normally say I'm a Murang'a girl in the diaspora because I am born and bred in Murang'a and my mother is still a voter in Murang'a, so I have serious interest in Murang'a County. So I'll give them a minute to introduce themselves and we'll definitely have them over in the next round.
Thank you, Honorable Mother. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Johnson Wapuha. I am the Speaker, second Speaker of the 3rd County Assembly. Other than that, I am an architect in private practice. I'm here to represent Dr. Wago Kangata with his programs and his plan for diaspora, making Murang'a an investor-friendly county.
Thank you. My name is Francis Kibe. I'm a member of County Assembly representing ward called the Vera Ward, that is in Kadara Sub-County, Murang'a County. I also serve as the Leader of Majority in Murang'a County Assembly. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the team from Murang'a. So I think we have our first round. I will take a seat now and return the microphone to the moderator to take us through this very interesting session that we are looking forward to. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. I think my on here. Okay. So thank you. Thank you. Ben, I think this one's not. You don't need to use yours. Okay, it's on. Okay, thank you. Am I clear? Okay. So thank you. We are live. So we are live. Thank you very much. Your mic is muted. This is right. No. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, hello? Okay, we are live now, right? Okay, so welcome, good to have you. First, I want to thank the members of Kenyan Parliament for joining us here. I have to admit here that I don't remember all the names. I do remember Honorable. I've known her for many years, watched her on TV, but good to sit next to you. But the next session of this discussion is not going to be, and I have to make sure that this is clear, particularly for our online people watching this across the country and elsewhere around the world. The kind of discussion we're going to have here is going to be more specific to issues, not politics. So I understand politicians tend to talk a lot, that's very good, but one of the conversations we've had here in the diaspora is that we do want to engage with Kenyan leaders and particularly politicians, but we want to focus on specific issues. So if my line of questions goes into specifics, it does not mean to have to be disrespectful. It's just trying to make sure that we do find a common ground from which all of us can work on. So if you could please, Banambarosi, silence. Watching online, if you could please go on our Facebook page, wherever you are, post your questions. We'll have a moment to post to the first group of parliamentarians, or later on when we have the second group of nine. Now, for the sake of our viewers who are watching home, some of them probably didn't get to know your name, just the name and your area of representation for the interest of our online viewers, please, from the far left.
Thank you. Again, Memusi Kanchori. I'm the Member of Parliament for Kajiado Central. Kajiado Central is in Kajiado County. I'm also serving in the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee in Parliament. Thank you.
My name is Stuart Mazayo, retired justice, and I'm the Senator for Kilifi County and the leader of minority in the Senate.
Hi again. I am Millie Odhiambo Mabona, Member of Parliament for Suba North, serving my 4th term, and also a member of the Defense Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are giving you. Just okay. Just hold it. Okay. Yeah.
It's coming by. Yes, thank you. My name is Martha Wangari. I'm the MP for Gilgil, Nakuru County. I'm serving my 3rd term. I also serve in the Speaker's panel, and I serve in the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee in the 13th Parliament.
So thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Justice Kemei. I'm the Member of Parliament for Sigawet-Soin constituency in Kericho County. I'm serving my 2nd term in Parliament, and I'm a member of the Committee on Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers. Thank you.
I'm not an honorable member. No. My name is Peter Diangui. I'm a professor here. I am not in this team. We are there with Jeremiah. But I'm the executive director of One Voice Consortium. When you are appointing these people to come, members of One Voice Consortium put together some questions. So the moderator will be giving you a chance to ask those questions, and we hope you'll be able to address our members' questions. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Again, as I want to emphasize this because I know we will be under heavy fire from people watching online, because the demand is, this is a moment when we need to hear substance from our politicians. It's not the kind of meetings that we have in Kenya where you address a crowd, and so many people are very interested in this. So first question to you, Madam Leader, maybe you could help us through this one. Where specifically are you in the U.S.?
Thank you, our moderator. And I think I'll summarize by saying the reason we are here, of course, is by invitation, by OVC, but more importantly is because the issues that were being dealt with the consortium and the exhibition are matters that we deal with every day in Parliament. When you talk education, the people to actually even allocate money to that function is Parliament. When you talk foreign policy, the people to deal with that is Parliament. When you talk agriculture, we have the county assembly here. Even if it is devolved, the issue of policy is still at the national level. And the people to do that, especially the budget making, is Parliament. I also think we are here because we have recently had elections, we have transited to a new government, and every government has what they plan to achieve. And I would say that because I serve in the majority side of the House, that we have issues we would want to achieve, and that also includes the diaspora. That is the reason for the first time, even in the executive, we have a permanent secretary specifically to deal with diaspora matters. That shows how serious the president and the government is taking the issue of diaspora, considering the amount of money, the amount of investment they do back in the country. We would be very interested to see how do we plug in as the legislature to ensure that we are able to make these policies better, to ensure that our people can benefit more, and we also encourage investors to come to our country. I would say in summary. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll turn to, I know we have from Parliament, from Senate, Senate representative. Did we have a Senate representative?
Yeah, we have Senate.
Yeah. So the question is, why exactly are you in the U.S.?
Why is that?
What exactly are you to do in the U.S.?
Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay. Then can to change.
Okay, okay.
Why we're here is because we've been brought here by the Senate, is to come and benchmark and see exactly what's happening in the U.S. in terms of these issues that are taking place here. Basically to see how the projects, how you handle your projects here, or how the diaspora contributes to our country. Because at the moment we are on the side of development, we are lagging behind, and there's a need that that the diaspora is part of us, and their contributions are welcome. The only thing is that what we want to know is how much can we benefit from the people living in the diaspora. We have quite a number of areas we can develop our country, and we know the people in the diaspora contribute a lot towards the development of their own country wherever they come from. We are aware that in the United States we have quite a number of Kenyans living here. And Kenya is your country. All we can say is that whatever you do, whatever happens, Kenya is your country, and you need to invest back home. You need to promote it in any way that you can while you're here. And therefore, we welcome members of the diaspora, you people who are Kenyans living here, to come back to see that whatever you do, you must ensure that you develop your own country. So we're here for that purpose. One, to encourage you that you need to invest back home. Second, to encourage you and know that back home is where you belong, and you have no any other country apart from here where you are and you're working. But above all, your motherland is there, so see how you can improve on it. And we also want to encourage that whatever wrong that you see, what happens to our country politically, especially, you have a right, you have a say, and we shall listen to what you say. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senator. So part of that, I want to have one more person respond to that question. Part of the concern over the years is that we've had a lot of Kenyan parliamentarians and politicians coming in a large number to the U.S., but sometimes we have no idea where they're coming, what they're coming to do. If you could, the next panelists are going to respond to this question, if you could tie specifically what value does this Expo bring to you, and how valuable is that going to be to your constituents?
Let me get a bite at that. Well, one of the reasons that we come as parliamentarians a lot of times to different countries is because by the very nature of our work, we must collaborate with other countries, we must learn from other countries because we are not an island. If you actually look at our Constitution 2010, there's a lot that we learned from other countries, and that's why, for instance, our Constitution is celebrated as one of the best in the world. We didn't develop it because we are geniuses, but because we learned from others. Specifically in relation to the Expo that we have come here for by invitation, our Constitution provides for public participation, and part of the public participation is our diaspora. And we do not want basically a cosmetic mention of a diaspora, but we want the participation to be real. If you look at all the issues that already are being discussed, already we were seeing hiccups in terms of some of the activities and initiatives that our investors, Kenyans who are trading back and forth, are having. And those are issues that can only be dealt with by legislators and policymakers. So on our part, we may not necessarily be the ones that are involved in trade or are involved in the various aspects that we're involved in. But where you actually having problems, like you had the World Bank mentioning, countries, how investors are keen in terms of ease of doing investments in countries. And already we were told a few things or a little bit of hiccups in relation to Kenya. Such things can only be sorted out through Parliament. And so for us, having this platform is an opportunity for us to know from the diaspora where they are having challenges and where they think we can respond as members of Parliament. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. I think you can tell from the tone that we're now getting into substance, and that's exactly how we want us to proceed. So the next ones, I think those also are yet to respond. We'll get to you in a moment. So again, what is the value of this Expo to you? And if you could, the members, the Kenyans from your constituencies across the country are watching this, they want to know what valuable lesson have you learned from this one, and how are you tying that to your development or agenda in your constituents back home?
Thank you very much. First of all, we need to recognize that there is about 500,000 Kenyans out there. The United States of America is one big component where we have the Kenyan community here. We've come here to listen to them, so that in terms of policy development, in terms of legislation, in terms of investments, in terms of development, at least we have an idea on the position taken by the diaspora community in this country, the United States of America, and in other parts of the world. We also recognize that the diaspora community is a major source of money coming into the country. Close to about 4 billion comes to the country from the diaspora community. Out of that amount, about 60% comes from the United States of America. So they have a major role in terms of the economic development of our country. Thirdly, back home in our constituencies, we have various development challenges. I've had a discussion with one of you today on the need to have investments in the area of sugarcane processing. It's a crop that we are not able to satisfy the demand in the country, and therefore if there's any investment that goes into sugarcane processing in our country, it is of paramount importance in terms of the economic development of my constituency, and also in terms of the employment opportunities. The most critical part of our visit is that we want to listen to you. The Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers Committee is a new committee in Parliament. It's the first time that we're having it effected. You've already been told that the government has taken steps to care for the interests of the diaspora community. The first time we're having a permanent secretary, a principal secretary in charge of diaspora affairs. The first time we're having a committee of parliament in charge of diaspora affairs. We will not want to legislate. We will not want to go into a policy direction without the input of the diaspora community in various parts of the world. And the United States in particular is very key in terms of enriching us on issues pertaining to the diaspora community. Fourthly, we have quite a number of Kenyans working out there in the Saudi Arabia and other parts of the world. What problems are they going through in terms of immigration, in terms of labor, in terms of remittances? We want to listen to them so that as we go forward, we will be able to influence policy and influence legislation in such a manner that the diaspora interests are taken care of. And lastly, we want to tap into your potential in terms of democracy, in terms of constitution, which provides for the rights of Kenyans out there. As we go forward, what is your opinion about even you having representation in our parliament? We want to get that knowledge so that when we go back home, we should be able to influence policy to favor the diaspora community, which I want to say once more, has a major role in the social, political, and economic development of our country. Thank you.
Thank you. So, one more same question, if you could, please.
Yeah, thank you. I think it has all been well covered by my colleagues, but let me just first of all appreciate the organizers of this conference, and this is really the way and the discussions that we should have. For very many years, Kenya and other African countries have been discussing aid to Africa, and this has not brought meaningful development. We are here today to listen to each other and to talk to each other about investment opportunities that are available to our countries. Now, if I break this down to our constituents, we paid a courtesy visit to our ambassador, and one of the things that came up was the AGOA Act, that over 6,000 opportunities that are provided for to trade in America, for example, have not been taken up. Why has that not been done? Mostly because of lack of information. Who are the people who are best suited to take this information to their people? It is none other than the representatives of the people. So we are here so that we listen to those challenges that are curtailing or undermining investment opportunities to our people. What our people need is not aid. What our people need is investment opportunities. So we want to know what's a bottleneck so that we help as legislators to unlock that. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. Before I get to Professor Ndiangui to pose his questions as well, I want to ask all of you if you could just maybe in a minute, because the question we're required here, you need to be as specific as possible on this trip. There's always the argument that the Kenyans abroad do contribute a lot of money back to Kenya, and there's an increasing argument that that's kind of a negation of the collective power that the Kenyans have socially and economically abroad. So not focusing on how much money we send back home, specifically what area of engagement would you like to engage the Kenyans in the diaspora so that we can grow our homeland together?
Yeah, thank you. The very specific area where we want to engage our community in the diaspora is on investments. we will tell you about the opportunities that we have in our country. In my earlier comments, I mentioned about the sugar sector, which is so critical in the socio-economic development of Western Kenya in general and the coast region. There are opportunities. When you look at sugar consumption in our country, we consume about 1 million tons of sugar every year, and we produce only about 600,000 metric tons. We import close to 400,000 tons from the COMESA countries, something that if we got investments, we would not be able to import from the COMESA countries. Not that importation is bad, but we are able to satisfy the demand for sugar in our country by local production. In addition to that, we must get solutions to the unemployment crisis in our country. So we would wish to engage with you and know that which areas of cooperation can we focus on so that the issue of unemployment in our country is taken care of. Every year we have about 1 million people leaving schools and colleges, and out of that, not even half get employment opportunities. Right now we are talking about 3 million Kenyans who are not employed. We want to listen to you so that if there are ways and means in which we can be able to tap into your knowledge, then we can use that to reduce the level of unemployment and by extension poverty in our country. Thank you.
But just make you more comfortable so you don't think too much on the difference. What we trying to do as a diaspora community, we are also seeking for partnership. That's the key goal. So it's not that you have to be on the defense. The question is, what from deep down your soul, what do you think the diaspora community can help you? I think if you listen to Professor Omala earlier on, she did focus specifically on how the Kenyan scholars here in the US, particularly the KESA, are working so hard to develop the trainer in Kenya so that we can grow the educational sector in Kenya. That's very specific. So if you could as well, just commit yourself to a specific area of engagement that you would like us to partner with you so that you can drive that through the parliamentary and the Senate process. If you could, please.
Thank you. Good. Yeah, thank you. I think I would say if you try to localize, say, just to Gilgil constituency, I would be doing a disservice to the people of Kenya, because we are here just as a subset of parliament. So what I'm very keen on personally is at what point can we help the diaspora that are out here already, because there are many leaders here in terms of industries. If you go to the medical research, you go to even farming here in this country, the diaspora, the Kenyans are leading. You'll get a Kenyan somewhere. You'll go to the World Bank, you'll get a Kenyan somewhere. You'll go to the research, you'll go to the universities, you'll get a Kenyan somewhere. So the issue is, how do we now cascade this to the country? And if you speak, because we've been here for quite some time, I've come here in 2018, spoke to different people in the diaspora, and the one thing they say is that even when we try to cascade that to our home country, Kenya, there are stumbling blocks in terms of policy. So the question would be, what would Parliament do to ensure that we open up this? Even when we want to create employment, you can only do that if you can have people from here, the diaspora, the Kenyans here, being able to invest back at home. So you know there's titanium in one area, there is, you'll get tea in another area, you'll get, if you go to the coast, you'll get cashew nuts. Those people in those industries, are they able to come to Kenya and invest? And for me, I would be looking forward to ensuring that even now we have a current debate in Parliament about power, about Kenya Power in terms of charges to industries, because many industries are not being able to run or to even compete, you know, in the region, because cost of power is very high. So the role of Parliament then would be, how do we ensure that we are competitive in the region, even as we maintain our hegemony that we claim in the region, is by looking at the policies that make our power expensive. So I'll be looking forward to, from here, ensuring that we are able to plug in to ensure that the policies that we churn out, even with this government, being a new government, and I think it's good because it's a new government, we are looking forward to policies that will work for our country and also work for our people outside there. So that's one issue I'll be hoping to plug into.
Thank you. came from your heart. I could tell, it's just right. I could feel it really deep from deep your heart. That's why whenever we have leaders in women in leadership, the community, the country, the world is better when we have leaders. And thank you for speaking from the very bottom of your heart. And I hope that will generate into something tangible. And that takes me to my left. Honorable, you've been in Parliament for a long time. You are a darling of the diaspora community. Please speak from your heart. What would you like to commit yourself to?
Let me speak from my mouth. Wow. I'm glad that you started off by saying that we're talking about a partnership. And a partnership presupposes that everybody brings something to the table. Now speaking, I'll start from my own constituency. It's a predominantly fishing community. And every time I come here, people tell me, please bring me omena. That is a trade opportunity. And it's not just for the Kenyans who are here. And what we're trying to see is what are the opportunities available, both from Kenya to the US and back. So for me, those are the things that we're trying to look at and see, for instance, where there are hurdles. And why, for instance, if we are trading in fish, for instance, I know there are some regulations, especially in the EU, if there are things that we need to fix from the country, by law, by policy, then we can do that. On the other hand, I want to talk about, and I want to agree with Honorable Justice, on the issue of education. We know a lot of Kenyans come this way for education. And yet, most of them are not informed on issues or education choices that will have impacted their lives. I will come here and say I want to be an engineer or actual scientist or anything that sounds fancy. Yet when you come here, people tell you, get into the medical setup. That's actually what sells. That's where there are opportunities. Yet when you have our young people coming from home, they are not aware. There are people who may want to come here, because I've been here a number of times in the past. I went to school here as well. And one of the things that we also notice is that sometimes students have a problem when they land. Who receives them? How can we work to bridge, those kind of things? And how can we help our students who have come also to settle and not get lost? Part of the informal discussions that we had, I'm so glad, was about a program that you are saying that we have, I don't know if you call first or second generation, Americans who are from Kenya, who don't have a touch with Kenya, and that you're running a program that is also seeking to interest them. And yet Kenya, if you actually look at the capital, human capital, and as Honorable Martha had actually said earlier, it's not just in the US. Our diaspora community is taking the lead everywhere. You find the first this, the first that, in every country. Most of them are Kenyans. So what we are trying to do is create linkages back and forth. So one, support the diaspora that it's out, but also find ways of improving at home so that we don't have capital flight, human capital flight in the first place, so that we can actually then improve our country. So for me, those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to in relation to the partnership. You give information where we don't have, where we can actually intervene as policy makers, and we also seek where there are gaps where we can, plug in, and especially for purposes of the people we represent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Next, I think you've had those ones listening. The fish industry in Kenya could really contribute not just the economy, but create jobs for our people. So for those ones who are interested in investing in that industry, please reach out to the Member of Parliament before she leaves Washington. And that would be good for us and good for the country as well. So let's hear from the Senate.
I think members of the diaspora have a lot to do with their participation in the development of our country. That is something that we cannot rule out. Now, we find that opportunities are open for people in the diaspora to come and invest back home. But care needs to be taken. We need to be a bit careful on the kind of investments that we decide to undertake. There are quite a number of members of the diaspora who have been conned out of their resources because they are told there are these opportunities, and when you go there you find that you invested your money and then that money is gone now. You can't recover it, and the people or the company has disappeared. So we are here maybe basically on the side of the Senate, whom I've come with my brother Joseph Kamau Gizuku, who is there, to maybe exchange and have an idea and see how we can advise you. And you can talk to us. We come from a certain area of Kenya, which is in the coastland. Incidentally, me and Kamau come from the same place. I don't know how it came to be that the two of us who come from the one region are coming to this place, but it has happened. And what I want to say is, if I have to narrow down now, Coast Province is basically an open ground. And I believe quite a number of us would like to have a piece of a share of the coast. There are quite a number of issues that you people can undertake. I would encourage there, just in case you need to buy land, you need to buy maybe houses, or you need to buy plots. I was just talking to one person on the other side where they have a company. But I think it's a good company because I've seen it. I've seen its advertisements back home, where you develop the piece of land and then you can sell it, and members of the diaspora or the local community can also participate in purchasing that same property. So basically, our coming to the States, and specifically this particular conference, was on how we can exchange ideas. And in case there are any opportunities that you would like to know, more opportunities other than all this, then we are prepared to talk to you. Our minds are open, and we believe we can exchange and get ideas on how you can invest your money back home without losing it. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Senator. I think one thing we should appreciate you all, the fact that you've come here as a team, both from the Senate, from the Parliament, and also members of the county government. I think that's an indication of why the country needs to work in unionism to move forward, and that's part of what we are talking about here. We, the Kenyans, the East Africans, speaking in one voice as one people for the future. So if we could hear last from you, and then Professor Ndiang will be ready for your question.
Thank you. Let me try and be a bit practical in the partnership aspect that you've talked about. We've had an informal conversation with Ambassador Big Ted. I don't know if he's still in the house, but he mentioned to me that there's a Kenyan here who's doing goat farming. Now, in being practical, what if the Kenyans who are doing whatever they're doing here would partner with Kenyans back at home, and we would find out, is that Big Ted? I had someone responding. Now, what if those who are doing whatever they're doing here would partner with Kenyans back at home? Because I'm sure, for example, the gentleman who's doing goat farming here has demand that he cannot satisfy. There is limitation in terms of land here. There is limitation in terms of workforce. So what if he takes advantage of the availability of land in Kenya and would try and export goods from Kenya to satisfy the demand here? And that way, he would get to know what are the issues in trying to do that. And us as legislators would now come in, that there's this partnership between X farm and Y farm, and we've tried to bring in goods from Kenya to the US, and we could not because of ABCD. Now, we now as legislators would come in to unlock, if it is laws, if it is policies, whatever it is, would come to unlock. Just trying to be a bit practical. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move to the questioning section, and before Professor Ndiangui asks the question, one thing we acknowledge, you just heard of all of them, Madam Leader, the Justice who's talked about, they're not here to give political statements. They're here to engage, to listen, to learn from one another, and I think that is the essence of this expo. So as Professor Ndiangui comes on and those ones getting ready with the questions, please bear that in mind. They're not here to give political statements. They're here to listen and engage as best as we possibly can, and I think that's the best way we can move forward. So, Professor Ndiangui, please.
Can you hear me?
Give it time.
All right. Now it's good? Thank you. An honor. And it was this kind of session that we planned this expo. Particularly for this question which has asked the first question. I have only 2 questions for you guys. Kenya is now a devolved system. My brother Justice here, you are the MP of Soin Sigowet. Millie, you are in Suba. It's nice to be a team, but you must remember the Soin Sigowet people, my brother. They are here. They want to contribute. It's good to do things and to learn from one another, but you must still remember you are an MP of Soin Sigowet. People from Soin Sigowet here many of them don't even have a connection with you. Mother the same. They are crying. Reach out to us. Not just the country, but they are your people. Some of you, and none of you sitting here, but there are some MPs, when you reach out to us and we contribute something, we start sounding like we are competing. We are not competitors. We are building our country together, your county together. One Voice Consortium comprises of people from almost every constituency in Kenya. All you need is to reach out to Dr. Shuri here, Dr. Ogaki, Jeremiah, and me to know which people I'll give you one person also in Sigowet. Reach out to that person. They'll start. And they are saying here, take examples of, let me give the examples of Nyeri. Governor Mutahi Kahiga appointed me as the honorary ambassador. When he did that, I put together a team. Now we are moving everywhere, educating kids, planting trees, doing things, because I have a position to use to go there. Why don't you do the same? Even Wadeto, my MP there, he's doing the same, organizing groups. We are appealing to you to partner with us to help you in your own constituency. Reach out to us through One Voice Consortium. We are available for you. Don't be shy. We are your people too. And then the other thing, when I get problems at home, like if somebody is stealing my little farm, I call Adeto. I go, Governor Kahiga, can you check? And they do go to my little farm, protect my interest so that I feel my member of parliament is protecting my interest so that I can invest more. So that when my children come home, we are appealing to you to now start focusing on one constituency. Your people are here. Mile, they are here for you. And mothers are different from yours, my brother. They are waiting for you. We are there to connect with you. Help us to do that.
Okay. Thank you very much. I was expecting to ask a question, but he just gave a broader advice.
I was actually
so
Can I just comment on that?
Honorable Judy's, Madam Leader, then Judy, you could go ahead.
Then the Madam Leader.
Okay. But you have your mic.
Comment. Okay.
Let me follow protocol. I speak and then the lead of delegation ends. I just want to thank you for that challenge that you've given us. I actually wanted to give you an example that during COVID, I actually reached out to my diaspora community and I looked for my constituents all over the world. And I put them together in different wards, not in different constituencies. I put them in the ward that you come from. and they were extremely helpful and contributed because of the challenges that people were facing then, gave food, supported individual communities. Some even then now went to the village level, and they were moving from in diaspora looking for people from their villages. And it is a gap that sometimes as leaders we let go, because there are people who are very willing to support at home, but they don't know how. And since then I've seen a lot of them are contributing in building classrooms and working within their own. So it's actually a good thing, and we can still work with you to look for members who are not aware. And through this forum, I just want to appeal, if there is anybody in Suba North who is not aware that they can actually contribute to Suba North, then I can actually put them as leadership forums, because we are all leaders. So we have in every ward in my constituency, we have a leadership forum that involves people in diaspora and at home. Thank you.
Okay. Before Madam received a question here. There are people watching the TV. We're based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the people in Minneapolis are watching, and the question they're talking, hey, Daktari, can you ask about security? So what happened in the last few days, quite a number of Kenyans have gone home, including some of our very dear friends, and think Ben will agree with you. People have worked so hard, invested, and want to go home and retire. And some of them have been killed in a very brutal, very senseless, and very dehumanizing way. So we do have a huge group of Kenyans in Minnesota right now trying to put together a team to find ways in which whoever travels home can protect themselves. What that is simply saying is the Kenyan government failed to protect the diasporans. And I want to talk about those ones in Minnesota, but we're talking about Kenyans all around the globe. In Parliament and in the Senate, what are you doing to make sure that there is security, not just for the diasporans, but for all human beings across the borders of Kenya? Madam Leader, if you could. And you...
Maybe I could just comment on Professor. Yes. Thank you, Professor. Our coming here is a demonstration that we appreciate the diaspora community. We value you. We seek partnership with you. We seek friendship with you, so that the challenges that we have back home, which can be handled by you in the diaspora community, will partner together. Secondly, we need, first of all, we don't know the exact number of Kenyans out there. It is through you people that we can get to know the proper number of Kenyans out there. In particular, I would be interested to know the number of people from Sigawetsoin constituency in the United States of America, and by extension in other parts of the country. We can then engage, frankly, we can then engage and see how best we can be able to work together for the sake of the development of our country. Through you, beginning today, you will hear a lot from us. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. Yes. You'll hear a lot from us. Yes. We will communicate as much as possible so that that potential can be utilized. Maybe the last one is that Madam will comment on the issue of insecurity. The last one, the United States of America is a powerhouse in athletics. Kenya is also a powerhouse in athletics. In particular, what can we learn from the United States of America in terms of short distance races? We are good in long distance races, middle distance races, but we need to improve ourselves in terms of short distance races. There's a lot we can learn. And I am sure there are people who would like cooperation in that area of sports, so that both countries can benefit from our mutual areas of cooperation. Once more, Professor, we thank you. And I just want to make it known to the Kenyan community out there, we value, we appreciate you. If there is anything we can do so that together we can work for the development of our country, and by extension, Africa, we'll be able to do that. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I think, yeah. Okay. I think my colleagues have touched on Professor's comments because it was a very important comment. And I would say if you ask every member of parliament, somehow they've had some work they have done with some of the diaspora, only that it is not organized. It is scattered, I would say, because I have worked with some people in water, I've worked with some people in school feeding, I've worked with some people even in athletics and getting them to run outside the country. So we have partnered, only that it is not organized. It is not structured, so to say. And I would say that I think the COVID time taught us that really the globe and is a village. Really, you can reach out to any member of your constituency in any part of the world. So I think what we can talk about is organizing them into some workable structures that would not only assist us as members of parliament, but our communities. Because even as a member of parliament, you want to leave a legacy that you have done something when you are a member of parliament. It's not just for fun. This is a higher calling, so to say. But I would want to also say that I agree with the moderator in terms of security. And I think insecurity is not only a Kenyan problem, but it is also even here. You will always have some incidences where there was a gun attack, so it is in our area. I think the one that was very pronounced was the Nyamira couple that was recently murdered in their home, and it was a national shame, really, what happened. But I also want to say that we are working, as you can see, even from the area of the Kerio Valley, there are a lot of insecurities. The government has put a lot of machinery, including even utilizing our Kenya Defense Forces in terms of bringing order in areas where there is no order. But more importantly, we are very keen, and in fact when we came to the ambassadors, we said sometimes don't only deal with the executive and legislature, also deal with the judiciary. And the ambassador said something that they had spoken to the Chief Justice, because sometimes you will get even the culprits have been arrested, they have been taken to court. There has to be a working together of the legislature and the judiciary to ensure that we are able to ensure that people are brought to book and there are consequences for actions of any insecurity, because nobody should take anyone's life in the way that happened. So I think it's a collective role, the judiciary to do their work, ourselves to do our work, then we have the security organs to do their work, and where we need to add anything in terms of policy, then we should be able to do that to ensure everybody is safe, regardless of whether you're a diaspora member or you're a Kenyan, whether you're a villager or you live in the city. Everyone should be assured of security because it's a basic right.
Okay. Thank you. I think because time is running out, if we could just have a response from the Senate, I think that would be in order. If you could, respond to that, please.
Yes, just a quick comment. I would like to thank you so much, Professor Peter, for that kind of information, and I think it's very important for all of us. And I would say I've taken note of that, and definitely we shall be getting back to you. The other issue of also trying to assist some young persons who want to come to the US for further studies, that is one of the issues that we wanted also to hear that from you people in the diaspora, particularly in the academic world, and it's going to go a long way to help us. But the most important thing, which I think is very important, and I wanted to point it out here, is the security issue of the people who have invested back home. There is another professor, I think, who appeared in the papers the other day, who had built a very nice, he'd done almost all his investments, whatever he got in this part of the world, he invested back home. And I want to agree with my sister Martha that it was a total shame, a huge embarrassment, and nobody commented, which is something so sad for ourselves, that this person took all his millions, invested back home, built a beautiful house, and he couldn't stay in that house. Whatever happened, happened, but there was loss of life. And I think it's not fair for anyone who lives in the diaspora all his life to save all that money and come and invest back home. And at the time when he's retiring now, or he wants to rest at home, and he gets killed, then it's better you stay here, you don't come back home. And this is the mistake of the government. This is a huge mistake where we require the government to take note of that, because each life must be protected by the government. And I'm saying this when I'm very sincere with what I'm commenting about. We've had quite a number of people who have died. Yet you have heard of the recent deaths that happened. It may be political, it might not be political, it might be religious, it might not be religious. But in my own county, we've lost more than, I think, it's over 1,000. But of course the media will try to put it at about 100, 200, or something like that. And investigations are going on. We don't want to talk about that because investigations are going on. But there's still loss of life. So all I would say, the people in the diaspora, you must insist that before we invest or after investment, the government must take a leading role to protect your lives and property. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're almost coming to, okay. Quick question. Jake, where's Jake? I need to get, Jake, how are we doing with time?
If you have another group also coming.
Okay.
There's another group.
There's another group. Yeah, okay. because these questions basically for the group who are sitting,
yes.
Just give them 30 seconds each.
That's why I wanted to use my power as the moderator here, because I've been very tough on them. You know, they might say, this guy is a professor, we went to class. Let's just give them each at least 30 seconds, at least to make a political statement and particularly address their constituents. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble with my good politicians here. So if you could, my brother, if you go ahead. Your constituents are watching, so make a political statement, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And let me quickly just make an appeal to all those people from Kajiado County and particularly Kajiado Central living in the US to come together, form a group, and come back and do something back at home. I am ready to partner with you. I am ready to guide you. I'm ready to assist you where you need assistance. But let me just say this. All these issues that we're talking about, they can only be sorted by goodwill. We can talk about people going back home. We can talk about security. And if we don't have goodwill from the current government, it will not be in vain. I want to also appeal, because we've not talked politics here, but I also want to appeal to my brothers in government now, to put our political differences aside and put the country first. Thank you.
Kwa upande wangu pengine, allow me to speak in Swahili now because these are Kenyans. Sawa. Ndugu zangu, sisi tuko na Kenya moja, hatuko na Kenya mbili. Na hiyo Kenya moja ni ya kila mtu ama kila Mkenya aliyeko nje ya nchi na aliyeko ndani. Ni lazima tuilinde sote na tujue ya kwamba ni nchi yetu na tuidhibiti. Kwa hiyo mimi maoni yangu ni kwamba kwa wale ambao wanataka kuleta rasilimali zao nyumbani, hususan pengine kama ni wale wa pwani ama wa Kenya kwa ujumla, hilo ni nafasi yenu, munaweza kuitumia, na najua kuja kwenu itakuwa nguvu zaidi ili serikali iwe macho kuangalia kwamba mali yenu imetendewa haki na imeangaliwa vizuri na mmeishi baada ya kufanya kazi huku kwa miaka yote, mkirudi nyumbani mpate kwamba rasilimali yenu iko sawa sawa kabisa. Asanteni.
Thank you. My comment goes directly to any person from Suba North who may be watching. If you are not already in a group and you'd want to contribute, please get in touch with me, and You can do that. My email is odiambomili@yahoo.co.uk. You can reach out to me, and then I'll tell you how we can put you in one of the groups where you can contribute. But lastly, to the Kenyans in diaspora, we are willing to work with you, to listen to you, to hear where we can partner together for the betterment of our country. Thank you.
Kwa wenzangu ambao wanatoka constituency Sigawet Soin, ningependa kuwaeleza kwamba mimi nimejitolea ili tuweze kujumuika kwa pamoja katika kuendeleza nchi yetu na haswa kuendeleza constituency yetu. Nitafanya liwezalo ili tuweze kukutana, hata tusipokutana ana kwa ana, tuweze kuzungumza kwa mawasiliano ili sisi kwa pamoja tutekeleze wajibu wetu ili nchi yetu na haswa Sigawet Soin constituency iweze kupata maendeleo. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. You know, moderator, when you say make a political statement, sounds like make a statement that is not true. But I want to say all of us are really involved in politics, whether you like it or not, including those of us who are here from OVC, because one definition of politics is who gets what when. It is about what we are talking about. Everyone is playing politics. It's only that it has gotten a bad name along the way. But just to put that statement, I think I'll speak to my people. It's a small world. Nowadays, we're able to connect. I would say if you would like to reach out to us, there's a lot to do in Gilgil. Matters education, matters unemployment, matters sports, matters small-scale farming, matters opportunities. I would welcome you to write to us. Email is gilgil@parliament.go.ke. And if you would like to talk to me on social media, we are a very young parliament, by the way, in terms of demographics. I do it myself. You can write to me on Facebook, Martha Wangari, that is my page. You can write to me on Twitter, Hon Wangari, or follow me so that we are able to interact more and more and be able to connect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think with that will the last question. Remember, we have a next session. Just there are a lot of questions.
You need to give them the questions.
Dan, Jake, how are we doing?
Yeah, just one question from.
Okay. All right.
Voice of a lady as well.
Yes.
To be
Balance.
in the balance.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members and Senate, thank you so much for visiting with us here. I just have a very simple question. My name is Benson Kasue. I live in Dallas. I represent the East Africa Chamber of Commerce. We've been doing this for about 18 years, aka East African Business Network. Every time we meet with members of parliament or politicians, as diasporans, we put our political relationship capital on the line. We come and arrange meetings for you. You have this kind of meeting. It's very good meeting with business community here. I'm from the business community, for Americans. And then you go home. Nothing happens. So we are left with a problem. Our partners asking us, I called that member of parliament, I called that governor, I called so-and-so. They never return my call. Number one, you come here without a PA who is kind of taking notes for you. You are politicians. I don't ever vote for your constituency, right? Where I'm coming from, I know you're a person who gives the vote. And so you forget or you ignore. Well, I want to know how much should we continue to have these conversations where there are no results? You just ignore these conversations when you mirror. It's been happening. There's no results. Is it really worth having these conversations if we continue beating the same drum every year over year and there are no results? Is it worth it? Or do you have a different story to tell us? Are you being honest with us, or you go back and get back in your cocoon and just forget it? Please. Thank you.
Are you putting back? Mine is not a question, honestly. And I know, Benson, you're probably going to ask for some answers. My name is Alex. I was earlier on the other panel. Good to see you, Nyasuba. One of my favorite members of parliament is here, so I'm excited. I'm sure you're going to take this directly as I addressed to all of you. 2014, there was an issue that made the Parliament cancel the adoption, it banned the international adoption for children. I think there was an issue that was miracle babies in UK and baby trafficking. I think most of the people that are affected are diasporians, especially those of us that have lost relatives and you want to adopt the young ones so you can educate them here. We hit a snag. So I think it's a parliamentary duty, if you may, to see how we can resume that adoption. It's really struggling a lot of people who are willing to take their children or their relative children under their arm to give them better care. Lastly, on my comment, and I'm sure maybe the next group will also discuss this, if you live in the US, there's a labor market deficit, especially on the ile job ya chini. Inafanywa sana na watu kutoka chini, sitaki kuongea kizungu sana hapo, wale wanatoka Meki, wanafanya kazi ambao wazungu hapa wawezi kulima. You know, there's a movie called A Day Without Mexican in California. And Kenya can actually lobby, not that we want our people to come and do the labor, cheap labor, but we have a lot of helpless youth in our country that need to be employed. And some of these jobs are paying well. We're talking about a year contract that $14, $20 an hour. And we also have areas like truck drivers. We have a huge deficit in this country. It can be put part of that, whatever. So if we can be able to lobby, I don't know, now that we have our ambassador here, he probably can also help us to get into State Department with the help of our parliament to labor for our country to be listed on H2A, H2B visa beneficiaries. That will unlock a lot of potential for our human labor in Kenya.
If we could, I think in all fairness, the ladies in the room, just to have a balance, yeah. I think that would be fair. Okay, yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for being affirmative, sensitive. Thank you for that. Yeah, I hope I remember my notes. Any notes? My name's Mumbi Baskin. I want to face you because I'm addressing you with all due respect. I am an entrepreneur in Dallas. I own a restaurant. I have two words just to echo what Benson and Alex has said. We have been in so many forums, had the same words repeated. The difference is different people, different positions, different administrations. For example, during the Kibaki administration, there was a big campaign, pack and go home, we need the skills. People went, packed and left. They are now back to the US. Because when they got there was nothing for them and the red taping was too much. My simple question, as for you as the lawmakers, you can only change and put into action what you all said right here, only if the policies and good structures to enable the capacity of the so-called foreign ministries, with due respect, Balozi, we respect you, in place, only if that is put in place. There's one key word that diaspora is asking: inclusion. When are you ever gonna include us? It's good you have already acknowledged our remittance, but you have still not recognized the talent, the skill, and even prepared those coming after us in diaspora to be ready, to be competitive in Kenya, or rather to get the right skills for Kenya to be competitive globally. For example, Chinese are doing so many things. They have their own regional ambassadors in whatever city, preparing incoming students on F1 visas, advising them on the courses to take so that they are globally competitive as a country. What are we doing as Kenya? That's all I have to say.
Julie, start.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Let me start off by thanking you all for the very good questions. I would want to say that I wouldn't want to look at it in a very pessimistic manner. I was involved in the constitution making process of Kenya from before I became a member of parliament. I was a delegate in Bomas, and I remember that we had a member from Diaspora who then actually was given a position in our party representing the Diaspora. At that point, the issue of Diaspora was not even an issue of discussion. Right now, as you can see, there's even a ministry, or rather, a department of Diaspora. I think the issue is how then will the structure evolve in a manner that the voice of Diaspora is heard and there is engagement. I have listened to some of the challenges you are saying, and I think the issue is actually feedback, because some of the issues you are raising are already done. Like, for instance, the issue we're talking about trafficking, based on some of the issues that we had from Diaspora. I sponsored a law called Counter Trafficking in Persons Act, which is now a law in Kenya, based on feedback we had from Diaspora. And then people said it is making the issue of adoption difficult. Last year we passed the Children Act, which now promotes kinship adoption. Where there are challenges, even about a month ago, we were having a meeting. And where there are challenges, feel free to talk to us, because it's our business to fix things legislatively. So the challenge is feedback. That feedback loop, that sometimes we have already done what you are saying, but you don't know. So, and sometimes you have done it, but there is hiccups, not in legislation, but in implementation, because you know people sometimes like shortcuts. So where there is that hiccup, we can also still ask questions in Parliament to the executive, why a law that we have passed is not going the way that we'd want. In terms of the issue of security, I'd want to say, really it's unfortunate, as the even Honorable Martha has said, but I'd want us to also appreciate that we are having challenges, which is very typical of a lot of the countries we have. It's not an excuse, but it's typical of a lot of our countries in Africa. So I would also want us to appreciate within that greater context that security is a big issue, not just for Diaspora returning, but also even for Kenyans at home. Earlier on we were discussing about with one of the members, I think we were with Martha in the same car, and we saw a house that just had only windows, and I said, I would love to live in such a house. I don't want grills, but I must have grills if I'm in Kenya. And we are looking and admiring the white picket fences. And I said, I'd like to have a white picket fence, but a thief will jump over the picket fence, because that's our reality in Kenya. So I must have a very high wall. So as we are working progressively towards that, and governance and other challenges, I think even in Diaspora we need to appreciate that. We become more of a target when you're from Diaspora, because people think you've come with lots of money. So I think we've had you. It's something we will pick up and see within the greater, context of dealing with insecurity in the country, how we factor in the issue of Diaspora as a very specially vulnerable group when they come back to the country. Thank you.
So as you
Yeah.
ready, okay.
Yeah. It is just to pick on what Honorable Millie has spoken about, and I'll start with Benson, I think, yes, that it is all talk. But I also think the Diaspora members who come here, who are Kenyans, have also not followed in terms of how participatory Parliament and government has become. By the way, even you as members of Diaspora, you can write a petition direct to Parliament, direct to Parliament. You can use a member to read it on your behalf on an issue you feel is a policy issue. So I would encourage that even us, everyone to play their part. We will be your advocates, but please, any issue you feel, because you are experts in different fields, there are areas we would not And I'll tell you, like now I'm bringing an issue, a question on the establishment of engineers board. I'm not an engineer. It's only that engineers got together and got to me to be their advocate on the floor of the House. So please feel free to write to any member of Parliament, including ourselves, or Parliament direct through the clerk. It is actually allowed. Secondly, the issue of adoption, because I'm very passionate about adoption. That is Alex's question. And I remember last Parliament I moved a bill that allows for maternity leave for members who adopt babies who are below 6 months, and it was passed by the House. The issue of the moratorium in terms of the capping is for foreigners. And there was a reason for that. But for members who are Kenyans, you still are not locked from the kinship adoption because you are part of it. You can be able to do that. But if we get to some point, because I remember we were dealing with issues of child trafficking that time, that made the president or the executive to make a decision to put a cap in terms of adoption or by foreigners. There was a reason for it, but I think nothing is cast on stone. As we go ahead, things go changing, and that can also be lifted if the situation changes. And finally, I would say that as a parliament, and I would say generally now, we are open as a parliament to listen to the diaspora and to any member really. I wish to encourage all of us that we can add value, we can be more participative also, so that we can keep this conversation going and it does not become a talk show that every time we come then we go home and that story dies. I think both of us, both parties, we can be more participatory and play our part so that we can keep the conversation going. And I was talking to the ambassador earlier, like when we came here in 2018, there is something the diaspora members brought to us that time as a committee in terms of getting outposts for members of the embassy in terms of visa registration. And when we came here, we are now told already we have done 15. That was a result of that meeting. We have done different areas, taking the services closer to the people. You make it cheaper, and more people are covered. I'm told about 3,000. So I think these conversations are never in vain. The issue is the follow-up and the implementation. And if we all play our part, then it will be okay.
Sounds good. As we welcome the justice to make a comment, I hope the way I'm understanding this, we have now our partners here, 12 sitting members of parliament and somebody representing us from the Senate. We also have the ambassadors, so both ambassadors are here, and members of the business community, and thousands of Kenyans watching online. My hope is that, Mr. Justice, as you come on, that by the conclusion of this Expo on Sunday, there could be a draft somehow, a commitment between both parties with the diasporans, so that we can say, hey, this is where we're going to work from going forward. Your turn.
Okay, thank you. Just a very short comment. Kenyans will continue moving out there to provide labor. They'll continue moving out there for education. At the moment, we have laws which are not sufficient to govern the movement of Kenyans to other parts of the country, to other parts of the world, to provide labor. And there are countries in which we can learn a lot. We can learn a lot from the legal environment in the Philippines. We can learn a lot from other countries which have developed laws that govern their citizens when they're out there. At the moment, the Committee on Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers, we've sat and we're thinking of doing a bill that will govern the movement of Kenyans out there. When we do that, be rest assured, Professor, and our colleagues in this country, that we will keep in touch with you so that you can help us enrich that bill. When that is done, then that kind of partnership, which we've been looking for from our colleagues out there, will be realized and our country will prosper. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think with that, we can comfortably say we've come to the conclusion of this first session of panel discussion with our great parliamentarians and senators. And if you could join me all in giving them a big round of applause.
the mic. Give me the microphone. Yeah, you're there.
Thank you. I will call the next panelists, then I will leave them to the moderator to deal with them. I will call Ambassador Sunkuli to come. Honorable Memusi. Your phone. Is this your phone? Yeah. Okay, we'll have a member for Geshogo. We normally call him Triple G. Geshimo Gedenji wa Geshogo. Member of Parliament for Geshogo, Kirinyaga County. I can see the County Assembly. The Speaker of the County Assembly of Murang'a will join. Okay, member for the majority leader for Murang'a, you will join in this discussion so that we loop in the county. Hakuna mwingine? Oh, Senator Githuku from Lamu, you will join here. Leader of majority, Honorable Kibe, please join. That is enough. We have spoken everything. Thank you. Moderator, your team.
Thank you. Then, are we live? Oh, do you wanna sit next? Oh. No, for the camera. Oh, easy. Somebody's here. Okay. Do you wanna move close? Yes. Really not the signal when they are live. Okay. You are ready? Okay, thank you. Okay, order. Order. So, okay, may we have your attention, please? Then, may we have your attention? Some pastor is finishing up. Wait, whenever you are. Okay, welcome. So, thank you. Of course, we thank the first team of members of Parliament again. It's a lot of noise. Attention, please. I don't know the names, I'll be shouting like Mheshimiwa or Kabaro used to shout, hey, order. So welcome. I want to thank the second team of the Kenyan delegation here. There's a lot of noise. Please, let's have your attention. May we have your attention, please? So, allow me now to take this opportunity to welcome the second Professor Ndiagu. So may I now welcome the second group of the delegation from Kenya. But first, as I welcome them, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for coming to the United States, and in particular here in Washington, to grace this occasion. Of course, the discussion is around how the United States can partner in opportunities with the East African region. That's important. And of course, for the members of Parliament and Senate who just left here, we must also extend our appreciation for the kind of work you're doing. Of course, you are rooting for us here in a foreign land, but we want you to know that we're also rooting for you for whatever you do in Parliament as you represent our people in whatever you do. So the best way to start this is a quick introduction, just your name and who you represent, and I will start from my far left.
Thank you very much. My name is Joseph Githuku Kamau. I'm the Senator of the good people of Lamu.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Geshimo Gedenji, Member of Parliament, Geshogo constituency in Kirinyaga County. And member of the National Assembly, also sitting in the Committee on Delegated Legislation of the National Assembly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Julius Sunkuli, the MP for Kilgoris constituency in Narok County, and I am also at the same committee of the delegated legislation.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Sunguli.
Thank you very much. My name is Johnson Mukuha. I'm the Speaker of the County Assembly of Murang'a. Professionally, I'm an architect in private practice for over 20 years, and I'm also a project manager.
Okay, thank you. So Murang'a, you're well represented. Next.
Francis Kibe, Leader of Majority, Murang'a County Assembly.
Okay, thank you. That sounds like Murang'a is doing really good representation here. So we won't go through the same questions we had before, and I will welcome questions from the audience so that it's more an engaging session than not. So if you could, what is your experience with the Expo so far? What have you learned? Okay, just the same question. What is your experience with the Expo so far here in Washington, your travels in Washington, and how do you think this experience relates to what you're doing with for your constituencies back home?
Myself. Yes. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to thank the conveners of this meeting, because actually what they have done is something very great to the people of the Republic of Kenya. We are very grateful to be here. And personally, I believe that I'm going to learn more while here. It is just the beginning, but I believe that as we continue for the 3 days engagement, I know we shall learn more. Actually, I'm looking forward to learning many things about the Expo and the kind of things that you people are doing. Secondly, I want to thank you most sincerely because of the way you people you have decided to invest in Kenya, because that is your homeland. And I believe with the engagement that we are going to have within this time that we are here, we believe that we are going to go back home with a vast knowledge from the people in diaspora and things of the sort. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Let's know, how do you like it? Your trip in Washington, the Expo, how this is going to help you?
Let me say this is a great engagement between the members of the diaspora under the One Voice Consortium. And it was a brilliant idea to form this consortium so that it can bring together all these members within the diaspora as an avenue to raise their concerns and also to build some synergy together for the purposes of advocating for their issues. And let me array some fears that have been raised by some members, and they are genuine fears. One, they've raised the issues that we cannot, the issues of lack of consistency in dealing with the issues that they've raised over several years. But let them also understand that Parliament, though it's an institution, the membership changes after every 5 years. So every Parliament operates like different from the other, and it's a separate institution. That is why we have a Parliament named after every election. There's like right now we are in the 13th Parliament. So the members that may have been here and who may have had their issues when they were raised last might not be here, because some may have opted to go for other positions, some may have been voted out. Actually, it's my first time even to know about the One Voice Consortium. So, and one of the issues that this government has really taken seriously is that there has been created a department for diaspora affairs. This is a forum that the members of the diaspora should engage. This is a department and which has already started working. We have been briefed by the very able Ambassador Lazarus Amayo that even the PS for Diaspora has already started engaging with him to make sure that the lives of the Kenyans who are living in the United States has been made very easy in terms of even renewal of their passport and everything. So things are rolling out, and we are there to support at Parliament. And what I can say, in law, we normally say there cannot never be a defense without a case. Kindly list your issues. We are ready to look at them and deal with the issue that we can be dealt with legislatively, because some other issues are also administrative. So the ones that can be done legislatively, kindly do a memorandum, forward to us. We have a committee on diaspora and migrant workers, which can receive it on the behalf of the National Assembly. And because we are just a few of the members who are representing the Kenya National Assembly, we might not be able to, we can only hear. But I can also confirm that though one of the members of the diaspora are saying that we don't even have PS to take our notes, Parliament works through members of National Assembly and clerks. We have clerks who are also taking notes. We have about 3 clerks. So every issue that you are raising is also being noted. And we take matters that we represent on behalf of parliaments when we go out there very seriously, and we are able to take even a report back to Parliament, which might also attract some debate and resolutions. So on that point, let me say that we are very seriously, we are here on a very serious matter, and we are ready to listen and to address the issues that have been raised by our own at the diaspora. And you are very big and a very good constituent, because you even have a vote for the Kenyan government, because under our constitution we created a diaspora vote to vote even for the leadership in the country. So it's a constituent that we must take seriously and we must respect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Honorable Sankuri.
I think my colleague here read my notes. But I'm really grateful to be here, and it's a big and a good experience. I haven't met the diaspora before,